Hello quilters! Today we are so excited to share one of our favorite quilting tools with you, cake mix papers. Whether you're a seasoned quilter or just getting started, these handy papers make piecing easy and fun, especially when you're working with layer cake squares. We are going to show you how to use cake mix papers to create perfectly precise quilt blocks, and then we'll treat you to a little trunk show of gorgeous projects we've made using these papers. Let's dive on in. First of all, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about why I love the cake mix papers. They are very, very effortless. They're accurate. You get gorgeous finished products, and it's a great way to make intricate blocks much more effortlessly. Mine is mainly because they're mindless. You work all day or busy raising kids, whatever your lifestyle is, and you can come home and just by stacking up your layer cakes and your papers together, you already have a count of how many you need. There's nothing worse than having to sit there and count. I need 56 1 7/8 inch triangles, and you get down to the end of your sewing and you don't have all those, so you have to go back and cut them. So this also somewhat helps you take the math out of sewing. So to start, I have 2 layer cakes, a white and a solid. Now, whether or not you use layer cakes or need to cut your own fabrics, this works best with 10-inch squares, so you don't necessarily have to use a layer cake. But I always do put my light fabric on top, then add your paper to that, and then just when you first start, you want to probably pin it in a few places just so the fabric doesn't slip at all when you sew. There's several different designs these cake mix papers are. This is just a very fast and easy one. And then we're going to start sewing together on following the start line, and we sew on the dotted lines, and we'll come back and trim on the cut lines. I'm going to go to the sewing machine and then I'll be right back. So one of the first things that you do anytime that you're sewing on the papers, lower your stitch length. So I have mine set for about 1.5, and that's going to actually help you perforate the papers, and it just tears off as easy as if you're tearing a piece of paper out of a tablet. So it also has the start, where you start, and then they're numbered, how you follow the path. And I'm going to start. So they come in, all the cake mixes come in several different sizes, and if you get off the line a little bit, that's somewhat okay. This is also where a knee lift on your machine comes in handy, so you can just lift the presser foot and continue sewing around. One of my favorites is the sheet that just makes half square triangles, because you can just sew forever getting your triangles done. And then this one actually has 2 patterns to follow, and has a little bonus block that you need to cut. But the beauty truly is just taking the math out of the whole process. I'm going to keep sewing on these lines and finish this up, and then I'll meet you back over at the cutting mat. Welcome back. So now I have a whole stack of papers sewn. The papers come in a pack of 42, which is the exact same number of fabrics that are in a layer cake. So the nice thing is you can take a print layer cake and a solid layer cake and pretty much make any of the designs that we've shown. The top of the cake mix papers have several different options for layouts, but you don't have to follow these. Like I said earlier, I love the half square triangle one. Anytime I need a 2-inch triangle, I use cake mix papers and just tear off a couple of sheets and then, go back to finishing my project. So here is one of the ones I've just sewn, and I like to use the rotating cutting mat so that you don't have to pick it up and turn it around, so it just makes it a little bit more efficient. You don't have to have that, but it does come in handy. This particular one has 2 different patterns, so it is a little trickier to cut. And always remember, whether you're doing this or anything, always start below the paper or below your fabric, because a lot of times it's easy to just start right on it, and as you cut it, you still have that little extra piece of fabric that you have to tear away. Then, since this one's in 2 sections, I'm going to go ahead and come in here and subcut here.
How great is this one too if you're just not comfortable even cutting squares? Because you know how sometimes, like I remember being not comfortable getting perfect squares, you know?
Yeah, I like to layer mine up. There's no reason that you necessarily have to, but again, just efficiency and stacking it up and having the security of knowing that it's an accurate square, or now an accurate triangle. I probably wouldn't do that if I was just cutting it without the security of the papers. So there's 4 of those, and then I'm going to come in and cut this other section. So we're making a version of the block that's on the wall behind me. I know it kind of seems funny to like, why am I sewing squares with triangle papers when I could just cut them and sew them back together? But this is where the math and the fabric matching definitely comes into play. So you have all the pieces that you need for any one of the versions of the blocks. And then this one, you need a little center block, and you don't have to sew it. So here's the space to just go ahead and cut out your extra block, and that's where, again, the math comes in handy. And you would just cut that out, and you're done with all those pieces. Now remember when I told you earlier I like to keep the white fabric on top? There's a reason for that. When you go to press, I like to still press with my paper still on it because it gives you a little bit of something to hold on to while you're doing it. So I go to the iron and literally paper still on, hold this down and press away. And that's what, because you have the light on top, makes it very easy that you're always going to be pressing to the dark. I'll be right back. I'm going to go press all my pieces and you can come back and join me. I've chosen 9 or 10 different Bella solids to be using on this project. Right now I'm working towards showing you the options to do a scrappy one like the one behind me, but I also have one that doesn't have to be so scrappy. Here is our pressed sections. There's really no way to avoid the dog ears on the triangles, so I like to still trim those off while the paper is still on. Again, that gives you a little bit more substance when you're trying to do that. Then it's so easy, literally fingernail at the seam and like pull it like a tablet paper and pull this aside. And now you're ready to sew with a perfectly matched half square triangle. So I have a stack of those to do, and these are all the different units that I have. So I have the squares that are just cut apart. I have 2 squares sewn together, and then I have a stack of half square triangles. So to do just a very traditional block, I've played with this as an option. You put this in here. So it's like sewing a 9 patch. You'll sew 3, 3, and 3 to get this unit. And then the beauty of having those extra squares is I can kind of play with and or audition what goes here. If I wanted to make it really matchy, I could do this one, which is a very traditional layout for a monkey wrench, a shoe fly. It has, several different names. Or I can play with different color options here. So this is Cake Mix 12, and the other thing that's nice is a lot of this you're dealing with 1/8 of an inch markings. So instead of having to cut that, it makes it very nice that it's accurate and you don't have to think about that. I would go and sew 1, 2, 3, make that a row, this a row, this a row, and then join those together. So this is a very traditional, fun way to do it. And then because I love scrappy, I also took a lot of mine and put together a scrappy version of that to where you can just have fun. So imagine if this is all kinds of different prints from one of the layer cakes instead of the Bella Solid, how fun that would be. So the quilt that's on the wall behind us is this block, and then it has a couple of other additional steps that are going to be in a pattern that's going to be a download on our website, and we'll also link it in the bio here. One of my favorite things, not only about this block, but about the Cake Mix papers, this one's Cake Mix 12, and I'm kind of following this block 1 design, but there's also other different designs, as well as you can create your own designs. You can mix and match Cake Mix papers or whatever you want. This is just a suggestion on what you can use the blocks for. Some of the projects we've been working around here, we have a whole series of Bella quilts that we've been playing with these colors, and we're working on a couple of special projects where we're going to show these quilts. But my favorite of all is Cake Mix 3. So it literally is just half square triangles. This is where if I just need to get a couple of pages, I take them off. But the quilt behind me, the yellow one, is made just with this one tablet, a layer cake of Bella white, a layer cake of Bella yellow, or what your choice is. So that's how easy and mindless that project is. And then there's kind of a fun spin on the one below, the purplish one. You don't have to only use one cake mix paper. You can combine it to get several different options. So that one is made using cake mix number 3 and 4. We also have them for charm packs, so you can do the same process with little bitty guys. If you're scared of making triangles, this is the best way to practice and to do them and efficiently use Moda's pre-cuts. It's great to come home and not spend a whole evening cutting out quilts. Just pick them up and start sewing. Wasn't that fun? Moda cake mix papers really make quilting a breeze. We hope you're feeling inspired and ready to whip up some amazing projects on your own. You can find cake mix papers at your favorite quilt shop, so grab a pack and start creating. Don't forget to share your cake mix projects with us on social media. We can't wait to see what you make. Thanks for watching and happy quilting.